Hey, it's Hunt. You found Hunt on Saints. We're talking black and gold football. Do us a favor, hit the like button, share your comments below, and hit that subscription button so you can get all of our content. Enjoy. Rolling right along here, Thursday edition of the Hunt Palmer Show. Time to talk black and gold. To do that, we bring on Luke Johnson, covers the Saints for The Advocate. Luke, how are you?
I'm doing great, man. Thanks for having me on.
Absolutely. The defense was obviously very good on Sunday. Let's start with the offense. What'd you think?
You know what? I think there was a lot they need to get better on, obviously. Trevor Penning obviously had a really rough game, and I don't think it's really something they can consistently rely on to just, always send help to his side. So that's something they got to get figured out. And, I'm still waiting to see what this run game is actually going to look like. It obviously really struggled during the preseason, and it struggled again in week one. But that Titans front is really, really good. They led the NFL in rush defense last year, so I'm kind of withholding judgment on that, especially until they get Kendre Miller and Alvin Kamara back. But, man, everything else I saw I was really, really encouraged by. The fact that they couldn't protect Derek Carr very well, and they only ran for 69 yards as a team, and he still completed 70% of his balls and threw for over 300 yards. It was really encouraging to me. I think the use of their playmakers in space was encouraging. So some of these things I think they'll get figured out, and if their passing offense can just maintain what it did on Sunday, I think they'll be really good offensively.
What about the play call to take a shot on third down that they ended up converting to Shaheed? That struck me as something we may not have seen last year. You?
Yeah, this is a conversation I've had with a bunch of people. It's not just last year. We haven't seen that since Drew was here.
Yeah.
The team just putting the game in its quarterback's hands and saying go win it. It was really, really encouraging to see, especially out of a coach like Dennis Allen, who, let's be frank, last year his whole thing was just I want to trust the defense. I'm gonna put the game in my defense's hands and not be very aggressive. Last year, or if he was head coaching the team in the 2021 season, in that exact same scenario, I can almost guarantee you we would have seen the Saints run the ball 3 times, make the Titans burn their timeouts, and then trust your defense to try to guard 40 yards of the field in 2 minutes. That's a losing proposition 6 or 7 times out of 10, right? So I think it was really important that we saw in this game, first game with Derek Carr, they put the game in his hands. They called the play that he wanted to run, and they let him just go out there and cut it loose. And that was, I think, really, really important.
I've heard Derek Carr speak to it a couple of times in press conferences, and we obviously saw the video that was on Twitter yesterday where he's telling everybody what's going to happen on the next drive. But did Dennis Allen speak to that decision at any point?
Yeah, I actually asked him about it after the game. And, it kind of basically boils down to that. They have trust in him. And, I think when the team has trust in the quarterback, it's good for the quarterback, right? The quarterback's like, okay, they have my back. And then when the team puts the faith in the quarterback and he goes out and makes plays like that, I think that builds really positive emotions from the players and the staff and everybody involved. Because they're like, okay, we got a dude who can go out and win us a game. We're winning because of him, and not in spite of him. I think it's so important to have that. And it was really, really refreshing to see that happen in week one. Because again, I don't think it would have happened in the last couple of years.
What is the best thing you saw about the defense?
I think the best thing was they actually made the plays that were there to be made. Look, 3 interceptions. It took them 13 games last year to get 3 interceptions. It was mind-boggling how bad they were at taking the ball away last year. And really, a lot of it was just failing to make the plays that were there for them, right? Balls hitting them in the hands and them dropping interceptions and so on. And they had 5 opportunities. They cashed in on 3 of them, which I think is pretty good, right? I think the thing that kind of helped that along was their pass rush was getting home on Ryan Tannehill. They only finished with 3 sacks. I think they had 10 quarterback hits. And the result of that is a quarterback who's not making sound decisions. So those 2 things work hand in hand, and it was really encouraging to see that happen. And I thought the run defense played a pretty solid game too. maybe if Tennessee would have committed to it a little bit more, maybe the numbers wouldn't have looked so good. But they were getting them in these third and long situations, and they were taking advantage of it, which was really encouraging.
Yeah, it was kind of the first real go for the newly made front, specifically inside of the tackles. You thought they passed their first test?
Yeah, I think so. But I think they were better as pocket pushers. I think I still want to see this play out over another couple of weeks to see if those guys are going to be really solid against the run. Obviously you're going into this game and you know what kind of game it's going to be. I want to see him do the same thing against Carolina, who I think has a pretty good rushing attack. I want to see him do the same thing against Green Bay, which I think you look at the last couple of years, they've been one of the better running teams in the NFL. They got to stack these games on a week-to-week basis before I'm really comfortable saying that they're going to be better in that department. But I think they're definitely more explosive there from a pass rushing standpoint. Brian Brzee had a couple of really, really nice pass rush snaps. And I think that's going to pay dividends.
How big a loss is Peyton Turner?
It's tough to say. I think he was having a really good camp. And I think the expectations for him were certainly much higher this year than they were in the previous couple of years. But I think they've got a couple dudes out there in Cam Jordan and Carl Granderson, and Passanio, I think, had a couple nice snaps as well. So it's going to be a blow for their rotation, but if they can just get something out of Foskey or whoever else might slide in there, I still think we're going to see the vast majority of the time it's going to be Jordan and Granderson. I think both of those guys had really, really good games this week.
Luke Johnson covers the black and gold for The Advocate, our guest every Thursday here at 1:15. We'll move forward to a Monday night game with the Carolina Panthers. We'll get to Bryce Young here, but what's the storyline with this Panther team outside of Bryce Young?
Well, obviously this offseason, I think they had a lot of positive momentum, especially in like May, right? They get Bryce Young, but they also they have a bunch of names on the coaching staff. Obviously, Frank Reich had a lot of success in Indianapolis. Their defensive coordinator, and I might be butchering his name here, I apologize, but Ejiro Evero, he coordinated like the number 2 defense in the NFL last year. They got a bunch of big name assistants. And then they started adding like veterans to the mix. I think people were a little bit excited. They're probably like a year away though, right? I think their offensive playmakers are not super explosive guys. I think DJ Shark is probably their most explosive wideout, and he hasn't played yet this year. And then obviously, now they're starting to deal with injuries. They're starting left guard. I think they put on IR the other day. J.C. Horn isn't going to play in this game. So their depth is tested. I don't think they have enough juice offensively to really compete with the Saints. But, I say that, and we talk about the last 2 years. They go into Carolina and just get their butts absolutely handed to them 2 years in a row. So I think we got to be careful of looking at this like marking down a win in 10.
What do you think Dennis Allen's thinking about a rookie quarterback in his second start, first one at home?
I think they're going to throw a lot of stuff his way. You look at what this team has done against rookie quarterbacks under Dennis Allen as defensive coordinator, and they've had a lot of success. That's including against guys who are big-time prospects. I think you look back at some of these performances, and really the only guys who really got them as rookie quarterbacks were Justin Herbert, who I think was making like his second career start when he came into the Superdome and threw for about 4,000 yards against them. And then Jalen Hurts actually made his first career start against the Saints, and that was the game he ran for like a $120 and added like 230 in the air, and really was his coming out party. Outside of that, they've been really solid against these rookie quarterbacks. I think it's because they try to make the picture really murky for them. They're going to send a lot of different pressure packages at them, and their strength of defense is still in those boundaries in the corners. It just makes life really, really hard on those rookie quarterbacks.
How do you think it goes on Monday night?
I'm tentatively thinking that I feel pretty good about this, just because of the way this Saints offense has kind of evolved with Derek Carr. You look at what they did with Chris Olave. They were moving him all over the field and really hitting him in a bunch of different ways. I think they were more creative this year offensively, and their defense showed me that they haven't really taken a huge step off from last year, so I feel pretty good about the Saints. But they got to show me they can actually win in Carolina, because it's been a house of horrors the last 2 years.
Hey, it's Hunt. Thanks for watching Hunt on Saints. Before you leave, help us out a little bit. Hit that like button, leave your comments in the section below, and hit that subscribe button so you get all our content right here from Hunt on Saints. We'll see you next time.